All right, welcome back to another edition of the Horsemen Pro Football Talk podcast. I am Brad.
This is Zach.
And I'm Hefe.
All right, before we get started, hit the subscribe button and bell icon, get your notifications so you never miss an episode. Tell all your friends, help us spread the love and all that good stuff. We certainly appreciate your support. We're excited about the new season. And today we are discussing the NFC East. Gentlemen, let's hope that this isn't the disaster it was last year. That I say that it was quite entertaining. Each week that we talked about that someone was going to win this division below 500 for only, I think, the third time in NFL history. One of those being a strike season, and it was fun to do that. But let's get a winning record in the playoffs, shall we?
Yeah, it'd be nice. I do want to make a correction. Last week on the end of our podcast, it was brought to my attention that I called the NFC East the worst division in the history of the NFL. That is incorrect. They were not the worst division in the history of the NFL. They were the second worst division in the history of the NFL, as by their combined win-loss on the season. I think it was.
Can I guess?
Go for it.
AFC East.
No.
Wow.
South,
okay.
Right?
Yeah, it was the NFC South. I forget the records, but I think that season the division won 21 or 22 games, and last year the NFC East won 22 or 23. So they missed the title by one game last season. So they're the second worst division in the history of the NFL last season.
You know, that's a huge distinction there. Now there's 8 divisions, and before there was 6 or something, and we're talking on 75, 100 years of football, but they weren't the worst. So there you go, there you have it.
True.
Something else the Cowboys fans can brag about that's worthless, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so who are we starting with today?
I have the Eagles finishing last. So
okay, I was afraid you wouldn't say that because of your new family that you've joined up there, offending some of the Eagles fans in the family.
Oh no, they're all on board with this, so it's all good.
Okay, all right. Hefe, do you agree with that? The Eagles at the bottom.
I do have the Eagles at the bottom of the division.
All right. Hefe, I'm pretty good about busting your balls. Today I'm going to bust Zach's.
All right.
Why is that?
Zach's 2020 prediction was Philadelphia would go 11-5 and win the division.
Oof, that's tough.
Yeah, who'd you pick winning the division though?
I don't remember.
I bet it wasn't WFT.
Yeah, probably.
It might have been the Eagles. It might have been the Eagles. So, I don't. We should go back and look. I don't really remember who I picked. I don't see it being the Giants. I don't see it being the Washington football team. Maybe Dallas. I'm pretty hard on Dallas. But I'm not a big Peterson fan either, and I said that he should have been gone already, so I don't remember. But it's either here nor there. Peterson out. 2 years too late, in my opinion, but he's gone. Better late than never. The Eagles have hired Nick. Am I pronouncing this correctly? Sirianni.
Sirianni. Yep.
Yeah. From the Colts under Frank Reich. Now, Sirianni is young. He's only 40. He only has 12 years in the league as a coach, and as a head coach, only have 12 years in the league coaching. It's pretty remarkable that he's been promoted that quickly. He's worked with Reich in San Diego and in Indy, and he worked with Rivers for 7 years. There's no doubt that he's picked up some valuable information. Obviously, he's sharp. Someone has seen that along the way. I think he might be the right man for the job here. But it's a long road ahead. He's inherited a disaster that just needs to be rebuilt from the ground up, in my opinion. I think But let's get all right. Let's get in the offensive coordinator a little bit. Shane, nice Germanic name here, Steichen. So he was the Chargers offensive coordinator last year, and I don't know if he's responsible for the development of Herbert or if that was a fluke and lucky. We'll see what the kid does this year. It could have been a match made in heaven. The quarterback could have carried him. He could have made Herbert, and Herbert flops. I don't know. We'll see. The offense, the Eagles' offense last year was ranked 24th. So this kid's got some grace period to work with that, right? So if he finishes 24th or better, even if it's 25th or 26th, he'd have to really go to the bottom. And we all know who's at the bottom. So I think this kid's got some time. Their defense coordinator is Jonathan Gannon. He lacks coaching experience. I think this is a really big gamble for them. He's worked under Zimmer and he's worked with Eberflus, but he's had no responsibility. I think he's been a cornerbacks coach, and he's really had no responsibility, especially for an entire organization and a city like Philly. There's no wiggle room. You either produce in a city like Philly, or the fans will just absolutely destroy you. They were ranked 20th last year. It's going to be hard not to improve, but unless he's in over his head, and he just absolutely might be. The offense needs to rebuild. I think they're eventually going to need a new defensive coordinator. They're going to be lucky to win 8 games, in my opinion. I'm going with six wins, give or take one.
It's a little better than I have them. If you're an Eagles fan, it's just not going to be a good year for you. Like you were talking about Nick Sirianni, he's a former Colts guy. He was our offensive coordinator 2018 to 2020 before taking the head coaching position with the Eagles. I didn't expect the hire, and I don't think it's a very good fit in my opinion, nor am I very confident in his ability to turn around the sinking ship. I'm also not confident in quarterback Jalen Hurts being the guy in Philly either. They did take the Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith in the first round of the NFL draft. I think over the next few seasons, him and Jalen Reagor will be a deadly combo on the outside, but I just don't see it happening this year. Plus, the defense is pretty shaky. I think all the problems are really stemming from the Eagles front office, which they're not making any changes there, so it's just not going to get better for a while. Sorry, Eagles fans, but this year is going to be a rough one. I have them finishing 4-13 and dead last in the NFC East.
No, it's really not too far off from where I have them. And I tried to give them more wins. I thought I was being too critical, and I kind of fished for their wins. I have them going 3-14, and there are 2 of those wins that I really just have on the schedule because 1-16 doesn't seem realistic. I think Jalen Hurts has enough athletic ability to be able to make things happen. We saw it at the end of the season. He was able to get a win or 2 there for the Eagles toward the end of the season. He'll make something happen. Nick Sirianni won't do what Doug Peterson did and just completely abandon the run every single game. He's like you guys have said, he's been with Reich, so he understands the value of the run game. And the Eagles averaged 5 yards per rush last year, and they ran the ball over 400 times. So if they can keep to the run and not abandon that, it'll help the quarterback. It'll help the team as a whole. Their offensive line is going to have to stay healthy, though. We've talked a lot about the injuries that happened to that offensive line. Carson took the more sacks than anybody in the league last year as the Eagles quarterback. And as long as this offensive line is healthy, it's pretty damn good. I mean, Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, Jason Kelsey, and Andre Dillard are all Pro Bowl type offensive linemen. They just have to be healthy. But that defense, the defense here is what worries me. They've fallen off every year since the Super Bowl. They lose different players, whether it's the free agency or to retirement. And they brought in pieces here and there, but it's all Mickey Mouse. Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargraves are good. Obviously, Darius Slay is a star at cornerback, but everybody else is a downgrade from the guys that they had years ago. So, I mean, when it all boils together, like I said, for me, they go 3-14. There's some potential with this team, but you're going to have to see some of these old guys stay healthy. You're going to have to see the young guys perform well. I'm a Devontae Smith kind of guy. I think he was the best receiver coming in this year. So I think there's a lot of promise there. I think Nick Sirianni will find a good way to use him. I think Nick Sirianni's time in Philadelphia is going to look a lot like Josh McDaniels' time with the Broncos, where it's not going to look good at first, and then he's going to have a little bit of success, but it won't be great, and he'll end up, 2, 3, maybe 4 years, he'll get shit canned and be an offensive coordinator again somewhere else. But like I said, the Eagles, they have promise, but probably not going to be a very good year for them.
Yeah, I think you both give fair assessments, and the odds of Sirianni staying in Philadelphia, I agree with that, are probably not very good, unless they see something in him that we don't see, which may be why he ascended so quickly. So let's hope. I hope he has some success. I don't wish anything ill against him, and I hope he becomes a superstar in this league. So we'll see. But we all agree, bottom of the barrel for Philadelphia. It's going to be a long season in a terrible division.
That it is.
Yeah. Okay. Who's next? This is a three-way up for grabs in this division, in my opinion. There's so many variables and things, and a lot of people who listen to this won't agree with that statement for biased reasons, especially if they're a Dallas fan. You just want to go on to Dallas?
We could do whatever. I mean, I think all three of these teams are going to be fighting it out. Any one of them can win a particular order, depending on how my matchups went when I was doing the predictions. Yeah. But I'm good. I'm good with whatever.
I think with Dallas is in the position they're always in. They're responsible for their own success. On paper, Dallas should win this division, but we all know that doesn't always work out in Dallas the way it's supposed to. So the Cowboys fans are already talking smack. Dak's back. Cowboys fans are doing what Cowboys fans do. I've even seen people that I respect that I didn't know were Cowboys fans are talking some serious trash. Someone responded that the Cowboys would win 8 games, and the fan was like, haters gonna hate. Why do you hate the Cowboys? And I don't, that might be an accurate statement. So delusional is the word I would use here. Anyway, McCarthy's back for a second season. He probably ought to win 8 games, or Jerry's going to ship his ass out. Can we all agree on that? Or do you think, I don't know, did he give Garrett a pass because he was enamored with him being loyal to the organization? Is he going to give McCarthy a pass, or is this it? Does he have to at least win 8 games or be gone?
Man, when it comes to Jerry Jones, you just never know what he's really going to do, to be honest with you.
Good point. Evidently, so their offensive coordinator is Kellen Moore. Evidently, he's McCarthy's heir apparent, from what I understand. He was coveted by a lot of colleges this season. In the offseason, has turned them down because there's a rumor that he's set to take over the Dallas job when McCarthy leaves. Tells me McCarthy's here to build a contender and try to win one and then walk out in the twilight of his career. On the defensive side, Mike Nolan is out. Dan Quinn is in. I'm not really sure how I feel about this. Quinn's Falcons defense they were ranked 8th overall in 2017, and then they slid and they were 20th or lower since then. But maybe Quinn going back to a defensive coordinator position where he doesn't have, where the overall organizational pressure is off and he's not tending to details that aren't in his wheelhouse, and he can concentrate on the defense. Maybe this will help him get back to what he allegedly does best, right? Or I mean, the Legion of Doom in Seattle and that whole thing. Or was it luck? Did the guy just, I mean, obviously he knows what he's doing, or he wouldn't be a defensive coordinator. I don't mean to insinuate that, but maybe his great success about 5-8 years ago, or whatever it was, maybe it was luck. Maybe the game's passing by. I don't know. Maybe Jerry Jones will just find a way to fuck it up. I'm sure we could all. I wonder if there are odds in Vegas for that, because I'll put my money down on it. I don't really know, but McCarthy and Quinn could be a very dangerous combination. But again, here we're going back to Jerry Jones. He's the interfering mother-in-law or monster-in-law that just can't mind her own goddamn business and somehow wrecks everything. So I don't see the Cowboys winning the division. And if they do, I think it'll be short-lived. It'll be a one and done in the playoffs. Again, that's just the way I see it.
Yeah, very interesting. Going back to Dan Quinn, I think he's one of those guys in the NFL. You have really good coordinators that just don't transition well to being a head coach, and I think Dan Quinn's one of those guys. So I think he's going to turn around this defense. Other than the injuries, the defense was absolutely horrendous, which is why the Cowboys finished 6-10 last season. But they also, in the draft, spent their first 6 draft picks on defensive players, and they took 8 defensive players overall throughout the entire thing.
It shows commitment to the defense for sure.
Yeah, so you bring in Dan Quinn, who I think is a pretty good defensive coordinator. I think he's going to do well, like I said. And in the draft, they also snagged the best linebacker and Micah Parsons out of Penn State with the number 12 overall pick. So that's a huge, huge pickup right there for them. And then, like you said, Dak is back with a new contract. He's ready to prove he's one of the best players in the league after that gruesome injury last year. So we'll see how well he can perform. And the offense around him is absolutely loaded with running back Ezekiel Elliott and a stud receiving core. You got Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup. So they have the pieces offensively. I think the defense is going to get better. They did finish 6-10 last year in the division, and they were still competing for the title. So I think this year, if they stay healthy, I think they will get it done. I have them finishing 10-7 and winning the division and being the number 4 overall seed in the NFC playoffs.
Another fairly low winning division team. That'll be interesting. And I don't think that's too far off. Really, 10 wins is a pretty decent bet right there. And the reason I would go lower than that is because of the defense. And like you said, I think Dan Quinn is going to be a better defensive coordinator than he was head coach. Because like you said, some of the guys just don't translate to head coaches. I think he's a fine defensive coordinator. He has been pretty much everywhere he's been. The only thing that worries me with their defense is their personnel. Okay, and I know they just drafted Micah Parsons, but Leighton Vander Esch, injury prone. Jalen Smith has been very disappointing since signing his big deal. DeMarcus Lawrence has also been very disappointing since signing a deal. They brought in Keanu Neal, and on their depth chart, he's listed as a linebacker, which is interesting because he's always been a strong safety, just played in the box. It's interesting that they're moving him just straight to linebacker like that, but he's had some injury issues. Damani KZ also had injury issues. Both those guys are coming from Atlanta where Dan Quinn was, so there's at least some familiarity there, but the Falcons defense was absolute trash. So will they do better in Dallas? I just don't know if that's going to be the case. I think the personnel on this defense isn't going to be good enough to be able to stop people. I think it's going to look a lot like last year, where the offense, as long as Dak is there, is going to put up a bunch of points, a bunch of yards, but the defense is going to give up 35 points a game. And so there's going to be some back and forth here. Overall, I have them going 9-8. In one of my favorite games of the year, or what I think is going to be the week 2 matchup when Dallas plays the Chargers. They're playing in LA, and I think that's going to be a lot like the Chiefs-Rams game from a few years ago. That was like 51-49 or something like that. That crazy game we saw. I think that's going to be a lot like that, and I can't wait for it. But games like that, I just couldn't trust them to win when I was going through their win-loss and trying to figure that out. If there was a decent offense that they were playing, I just assumed they're going to lose because their defense is going to be so bad this year. Can Dan Quinn figure out how to use the guys right? Sure. Will it happen? I'm not confident with the guys that they have that he can make it happen. But I like Dak. I like Zeke. I like some of the guys that they have on the defense. I hope they're able to make it work. But like I said, I have them going 9-8. I have them missing the playoffs. They finished third in the division. I just don't trust them. Don't trust that defense.
9-8 and the third place team.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and we're getting ready to get into the rest of these, but I think we should point out now that I'm expecting a lot of improvement in this division, and I say that with Zach just saying that to you, Hefe, that it sounds like you do too. And we're getting ready to get into the Giants and the Washington football team. Both showed improvement throughout the year. That's what I meant. There's so many variables here. What Dallas does to themselves, because we just talked about that. That if McCarthy can click everything together, the Cowboys could be a formidable opponent in the playoffs if they can click it together. But they could also. There's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of new players. There's a lot of change. There's a whole lot of things going on. And that's what I kept saying about Jerry Jones. If he's in the middle of it, just muddling, and they can't click it together, the Cowboys could finish second or third in this division. And well, let's talk about the Giants. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Giants left everything intact. Joe Judge is second year, and Garrett is the second year as their offensive coordinator. The Giants showed improvement last year. I mean, they kind of floundered, but they're under a new head coach, and you expect that to some degree. But I thought, and they lost Barkley, and that was rough. Okay, so I think I like what Joe Judge was doing. I like some of the pieces they have in place. I think they have a chance to get better, but I didn't want to talk about them last. I don't know that they can win this division. First of all, man, I'm not a Garrett fan. They were second to last in total yards of offense to one and only Adam Gase, right? And so Garrett should probably join Gase, and they should join Peterson in fishing in the offseason. I mean, I don't know that Garrett's the guy for this job. Now they're going to have Barkley back. So if we want to give Garrett a pass, I still don't know that losing Barkley puts you at 31st. I just don't know. Now on the defensive side, they were 9th overall last season. It's going to be tough to repeat that, but it did seem like they were figuring it out. They weren't making great strides, but it seemed like each week they just were solving another problem, moving in the right direction. There's a whole lot to be said for that in this league, because you're either moving forward or you're moving backward. So I guess the question is Judge going to be able to bring the winning formula from New England and turn this franchise around and maybe, break the New England curse, or is he just going to be another sophomore coach that could be a casualty at the end of the year? I really don't know. I think that it could go either way. The Giants could Judge could be the real deal, and they could start pulling this together. I don't know they're going to dominate the league. I don't think they're going to win this division either. I think it's either the Cowboys or the Washington football team, to be quite honest. But they could also put something together and surprise everybody and put this together here. But either way, I think they finished probably third, to be quite honest.
Yeah, so I have them finishing second in the division. This is definitely a make or break year for quarterback Daniel Jones. The Giants have brought in everything you could ask for on the offensive side of the ball, so there are no excuses for Daniel Jones this year. He has to perform well,
or Jason Garrett.
Or Jason Garrett, yeah. But I think the Joe Judge, Daniel Jones, Jason Garrett thing, 2 of the 3 are going to get blamed for this season if things don't go well. One of them will probably stay. More than likely, it'll probably be Daniel Jones. But who knows? We'll see. 2 of the 3 of them are probably going to get shit if things go awful this year. But I don't think they're going to. I think he's actually going to perform well. I think they're going to do all right. The biggest pickup in free agency was star wide receiver Kenny Golladay from the Detroit Lions. He joined Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton on the outs with running back Saquon Barkley, if he could stay healthy. And tight end Evan Ingram's pretty good inside as well. So this can be one of the better offenses in the league. But like I said, Daniel Jones has to live up to the hype that surrounded him the first couple years of his career. Ultimately, though, I have the Giants going toe-to-toe with the Cowboys. But once again, they're going to be out one game and miss the playoffs. I have them finishing 9-8.
And I don't think either of you guys are wrong in what you're saying. We have to see this team prove it to us. They have a lot of young guys on this team, a lot of new pieces on this team. And obviously Joe Judge, a guy that's only going into his second year as a head coach. So there's a lot to prove here. But I think that they've done a good job of stacking the talent on this team enough to make a difference. And I think we're going to see that this year. I don't know if Kadarius Toney was the right draft pick when they took him. I was talking to a Giants fan when it happened, and he was not very happy. He wanted an offensive lineman, preferably a tackle, and they did not go that direction. But, look, Daniel Jones, there's no excuses this year other than the offensive line isn't great. But Daniel Jones has all the weapons you could ask for with Saquon Barkley coming back. And then, like Zach said, with all the receivers, Kenny Golladay is a star already. Kadarius Toney looks like he could be very good. Now, what I think they're going to do and why I think they drafted Kadarius Toney is at some point this season, as long as Sterling Shepard can stay healthy, he'll get traded. He's had some injury issues. I think the Giants are going to try to get, maybe a third-round pick. They're going to get something for that piece. I don't think they plan on keeping him the entire season. But assuming that they do and assuming he's there all year, Daniel Jones should have a pretty good year. I'm somebody who has believed in Daniel Jones since he came in the league. I think this is going to be a really good opportunity for him to prove people wrong. And really the only reason I don't have this team winning more games is because of the offensive line. I think there are going to be some games where he gets sacked 4, 5, 6 times and is running for his life the whole game. Saquon's not going to be able to run because the offensive line isn't up to par. But the defense, I think the defense is going to be even better this year than it was last year. There's going to be more cohesion with the guys that were already here. They're adding Adoree Jackson into the secondary. James Bradbury did a phenomenal job with his first season as the number one corner for a team. And I think they're going to be able to rush the passer. I think they're going to be able to cover receivers and tight ends. I think the defense has everything you could possibly ask for. So, it honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if the Giants ended up winning the division. I have them going 11-6, finishing second in the division. But again, it wouldn't surprise me if they were able to pull things together. But it's that offensive line for me. I just think that that offensive line really is going to cost them at least 2 or 3 games.
All right, we're not far off, the three of us on this, and again, all those variables, what the Cowboys do with the offensive line, as Hefe pointed out, with the Giants, and of course I'm sorry.
Oh, you can't say that.
You can't say that one.
You're gonna have to bleep that out. The Washington football team. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is the first time in my life I've rooted for the.
You can't say that.
Okay.
You're going to get us canceled.
We're going to rewind. The first time in my life I've ever rooted for the Washington football team. Yeah, even when Joe Gibbs was there, and Joe Theismann, I don't even know your boys know who that is. Joe Gibbs, the race car owner. I couldn't stand them. I rooted for Miami in 82. I rooted for Denver in 87. I think I might have actually rooted for Washington in 91, but that's because I hated the Bills so much. And Jim Kelly, I just couldn't stand them. But now I've even reversed that decision because I've said this before. If in the history of the NFL deserves a ring that didn't get one. It's Marv Levy and Jim Kelly. I see that now. I was blinded by my hate. So if we remove that I was rooting for the Washington football team because I was rooting against the Bills, I've never rooted for them. But man, how do you not like Ron Rivera? This guy last year, he developed cancer early in the season. We wrote him off. They won the damn division. If people are going to rally around Pagano, we're going to have to rally around Rivera as well. They got better each week, won the division. Unlike Judge, Rivera's proven that he's been to a Super Bowl. He's kept everything intact. Bro, they got Jack Del Rio is the shit. They were 4th in overall defense last year. They might improve. I don't know. They might be 1st this year. And they have a tremendous amount of experience, and they got a little bit of magic. Right? They brought my boy in. Ryan motherfucking Fitzpatrick is at the helm with something to prove. He didn't get the opportunity to do it in Miami. He almost had the opportunity. I'm telling you, they leave Fitzpatrick behind center last year. Miami's in the playoffs and maybe does some damage. I don't know that they could, go all the way. I'm not saying all that, but I think he was cut short last year. If Fitzpatrick does what he's capable of doing, he's what, in his 15th year. He might be tired. He might, my window might have passed him. I don't know. But if he can bring his magic to what's going on and they continue to get better and the defense can get better, I don't know. I think Washington can win this division again. McCarthy might have something to say about that, but the whole Dallas thing, I don't know. Maybe Washington, maybe they'll win 10, 11 games and win this division.
They could, and honestly, I'm pulling for Washington this season. Out of all the teams in the East, I'm definitely going to be rooting for them. They turned it on late last season and route to clinching the division title and almost upsetting the would-be Super Bowl champion in the wild card round. If you guys don't remember, I think they lost by 8, and they were close. They almost got it done.
Yeah, I think it's 31-23. I think.
Yep, sounds about right. So this offseason, like you said, they picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick, and as you all know, I'm a believer of the Magic as well. They also added to one of the best defenses in the league through the draft by selecting linebacker Jamin Davis out of Kentucky with the first-round pick. Defensive end Chase Young should be even better than he was last year, and I would imagine in the next few years he may just pick up a Defensive Player of the Year award. However, and this is definitely subject to change, like I said, I think the Cowboys, Giants, or Washington could end up winning this division. But because of the way the upgrades and the way that the Cowboys and the Giants are heading, I think that they ultimately finished 3rd at 8-9, only missing the division title by 2 games. But I'm going to say I think they could do better. I think they will do better. But just going through the picks, that's the way it ended up.
Yeah, and that's fair. For what happened last year, losing record, making it into the playoffs, it's fair to see that. But look, this is the best team that Ryan Fitzpatrick has ever been on. All right, with the roster that Washington had last year, it wasn't terrible. They just didn't have a good quarterback to steer the ship in the right direction. They've added to this team. I mean, it just top to bottom, this roster is stacked right now. They were able to go out and get Curtis Samuel, Adam Humphries to be a 2 and 3 behind their star in the making, Terry McLaurin. And so they're good at receivers. Ryan Fitzpatrick should not have any complaints about who he's thrown to. Antonio Gibson is a star in the making at running back. He has J.D. McKissick sitting behind him, who was a good change of pace kind of guy. We've seen, as Colts fans, we have Nyheim Hines in that role. He produced a lot like Nyheim Hines when he came in the game. He was very, very effective. The offensive line, they were able to replace a couple pieces. That it should be decent. I don't know a whole lot about the right tackle, Cornelius Lucas. We'll have to see how he performs, but I do like this O-line and the defense. We talked so much about the Washington football team defense last year. and they did nothing but add to it. Like Zach said, they drafted a linebacker who should be very good in Jamin Davis, but they also went out and got William Jackson III, stole him from the Bengals and free agency. I thought for sure he was going to stay with the Bengals, but he comes out here to tag team in the secondary with Kendall Fuller. They still have Landon Collins playing as safety. I mean, this team, they're going to be able to rush the passer at will. I mean, all four of these guys that they have on the defensive line can cause pressure. So it should look a lot like the 49ers from a couple years ago when their defensive line was causing havoc every single game. You know, Montez Sweat is a freak of nature. I still wish the Colts would have drafted him a couple years ago. Don't like that he's not on the Colts, but you know, this team I think is stacked. So this team is going to go as far as Fitzpatrick can take them. But Fitzpatrick said, I want to say maybe 2 months ago on the Pat McAfee show, that he has a new love for the game with what's happened through his career. You know, when he went to Miami, he thought that his career was on the back burners. He was starting to think about retirement more. And with the experience of what happened in Miami, there's a new fire that burns inside him for the game of football. And I think you're going to be able to see that translate onto the football field. And like I said, because this is the best team he's ever had, I think he's going to put everything he has into this. I think Ron Rivera is going to give Fitzpatrick and this team everything that he has. And I think that Ron Rivera is going to be able to win this division for the second time in 2 years, but he's going to do it with a winning record this time. They're going to go 12-5. Defense might be the best in the league this year, and I have them dominating this division and making it to the playoffs.
How crazy would that be? There's a lot of obstacles for this to happen, a lot of unrealistic obstacles, but how crazy would it be for Fitzpatrick to come in here and take this team to the Super Bowl? It won't happen. Wait, the road runs back through Tampa. Kansas City's going to have something to say about whoever wants to win a ring this year, and a lot of obstacles on the way. But it would be cool. I love the guy. I hate to see him leave Miami, and there's nothing against Tua. There's something about Fitzpatrick. We all agree.
He's got the magic, man.
It's about the magic. It's all in the beard.
So if the Colts and the football team end up in the Super Bowl, who you picking to win that game?
Hefe, I'm going to quote an old firefighter buddy of mine. Don't be stupid. Colts all day, all day.
That's right.
No. Okay. Any last comments either you want to make?
No. Good.
Not about football, but I will say, Suns in 4, baby. Let's get CP3 this ring.
You gonna throw a few uppercuts before you say that? Pop, 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 pop. Suns in 4.
My last comment about this division is there are 3 teams that can win this division, and we can do all the analyzing we want. Anyone else out there can do all the analyzing they want. This is going to be an interesting division to watch, and for a different reason than it was last year. So pay attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can't disagree with that.
All right, that does it for this week. We want to remind you to please be sure to show us some love, like, share, and subscribe, and that whole thing. And you're going to want to subscribe and get the notifications. We've got some things that we're working on really to up our game. We have the Pick'em Battle that's going to be out again this year. That's not going to be ready for a couple weeks. You want to get notification of that. Like I said, we have some other stuff we're working on. You're going to want to get notification for that. So subscribe. Call your grandma. Tell her to subscribe. Get everybody on board so we can. What?
Call your grandma. Hey, I will say one time. All right, real quick, little short story. One time I went up to Wisconsin with your friend Denzel, and we went ice fishing up in. We were way northern Wisconsin, and I kid you not, there was some old lady out there that knew more about the Packers and the NFL football than I do.
I believe it. I believe that's why I said call your grandma, call your mom. All right, if you're listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, head on over to YouTube and help us out there. We certainly appreciate the support. Again, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter at Horsemen Sports, and we'll update with the pick'em information, the new stuff we've got coming, the fantasy stuff. When are you guys going to start the fantasy stuff? I think I asked this last week and I forgot.
Yeah, it'll be a few weeks. When it gets closer, I think sometime in August we're going to do.
So they're going to have to subscribe and follow us to make sure they get that information, so they don't miss that too.
Oh, for sure.
Look, I can't tell you again. You need to subscribe. We're trying to help you out. Help us help you. Go subscribe and tune in next week as we talk about the AFC East and who will dominate then. So, all right, we appreciate it, and we'll see you next week. Deuces.